the 2017 Power Rangers movie. I heard this movie wasn't good. I heard this movie it flopped. It had a bad premiere at the box office and everything. Just wasn't a good movie. And I finally sat down and watched it. And you know what? It's not that bad of a movie. It's actually pretty average. And on this episode of breakdowns, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it. But before I get started, is there a review you want me to do? Let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to it as best I can. Also Patreon/Zakka for $2 a month. Get your review cut in front of everybody else. You get your review out there before it comes on Facebook and YouTube. I hop to it as best I can. If I have a series review, I'm gonna take me a little longer to get it done, but I am gonna get it done. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into today's episode of 2017's Power Rangers movie. That is not your kids' Power Rangers movies anymore. Like this is the adult version of Power Rangers in the modern era. And what is this movie about? Rita and Zordon was on a team together, and Rita pretty much defeated the Power Rangers 65 million years ago. And now this new age of teenagers have found the magic crystals, the Zeo crystals that create the Power Rangers, and they have to work together. Now they found these crystals that also work in Zordon and Alpha, but also Rita's coming back to life at the same time, and she's looking for the power crystals to destroy the universe or destroy Earth all over again, like she tried to do 65 million years ago. And it's up to this group of teenagers to work together, put aside their differences, and defeat Rita and save the world. That is the gist of the 2017's Power Rangers movie. The things I like the cast. I like the characters. It was cool to me to see the people's story, the storyline behind the characters, and the actors and actresses doing their best to make the characters pop and be different, be unique, that you get attached to. That you might get attached to Zak's storyline, you might get attached to Billy's storyline, you might get attached to Jason's storyline and Kimberly and Trinity's storyline. You might get Trinity's storyline. You might get attached to them. I like the fact that they flushed out the Power Rangers and gave them a little more backstory versus just have them there, or presuming that you watched the TV show and that's why you're watching the movies. So we don't need backstories on the character. We just assume they are who they are. I actually like that. I like the movie fleshed that out more. Now this movie is a 2 hour and 5 minute movie. Double check that. 2 hours and 4 minutes. Sorry, 2 hour and 4 minute movie. So you have more time, like the Power Rangers for 1995. That was an hour and 35 minutes, and then Power Rangers Turbo or Turbo Power Rangers movie was an hour and 45 minutes. They got more time to flesh out the story of the Power Rangers, get a little more backstory of this modern day recap or modern day remake of the 1990s Power Rangers. I was cool with that. The things that I didn't like, they did try to make reference back to the original Power Rangers by saying, like, for example, Zak is Asian in this movie. He's not black like he is in the 1990s Power Rangers. And Billy is black instead of white. And then there's a scene where Zak goes, "I'm black." And Billy goes, "You're not," because Billy is on the spectrum. Which in the TV show, I don't think he is. He's just a super smart kid. In the movie, they made him on the spectrum and be super smart, but he doesn't understand humor and social cues. Okay. Going with that, but his thing was that he wanted to connect to Billy's thing. He wanted to connect to his father, and that's why he was out on his mountain trying to mine, because his dad was a miner. Zak's storyline in this movie, his mom is very sick and ill, and he's trying to spend more time with her, so he leaves the house a lot to go, think and calm himself on the mountain. And then you have Trini, Jason, and Kimberly, who all have their story. Jason's the high school jock star quarterback who thinks he's untouchable and gets into trouble. And that's pretty much the end of his storyline. He gets in trouble, gets on house arrest. Billy frees him from house arrest, and that's about it. They don't talk about his thing anymore, and that he's a selfish guy. He had to learn how to work together as a team. But he's a star quarterback of his high school team, of his town, and a small town having a star quarterback to win the championship is like a big deal. And he's that guy who, for some reason, decided to put a prank about putting a bull inside the school locker room. Why is your star quarterback doing that? I don't know, but he is. I guess he thought he was untouchable. And does he really learn his lesson? No, he learns how to be a leader, but he is the star quarterback, so he is the leader. So it just went from a football team to the Power Rangers, and I guess because in the movie does a whole exposition dump where he's looking at his awards and accolades in the movie, and there's the announcer, somebody, he takes the ball for himself, scored a touchdown for himself, wins the championship, and I guess he has to learn to rely on others, but that never plays out. Like there's no rely on others for Jason in this movie. That storyline kind of just drops. So that's one dislike that I don't like the fact that his storyline wasn't really fleshed out, but I do like the fact they gave him something. Trini's storyline, she's an outsider pretty much. She doesn't get along with her family. Her family's super normal, and she is questioning herself. In the movie, she says something, and Zach, who has a crush on Trini, so he trying to talk to her. He's like, boyfriend problems? She said, yeah, boyfriend problem. He goes, girlfriend problems? And she doesn't respond to that. And I had to look this up because I was like, what is Trini's? Is she trans? Is she non-binary? Is she gay? Like, what's her thing? And then I had to look it up, and it was like, no, she's just questioning her sexuality. Okay, but then at the end of the movie, like when her brother's like, I want to be the Yellow Ranger, he's cool, and she's like, how do you know he's a he? Like, how do you know the Yellow Ranger's a he? Which I thought was kind of cool to like, oh, like the Yellow Ranger's a girl, which is Trini, but Trini could just be a tomboy. Like, I feel like they didn't flesh her whole thing out in her family, because her family to the table when she told her family how, like, I went under space and underground, found a spaceship and everything with aliens. I'm a Power Ranger, or I'm a alien ranger, which she knew her family wouldn't believe her. And her mom puts a cup on her in front of her, to take your drug test now. And I'm like, so it's her thing, she's an alcoholic, she's on drugs? Like, no, she just feel like she's different from her family, and her family doesn't understand her because her family's not taking the time to get to talk to her. Her mom is automatically yelling at her and give her 4 different things, which any kid can relate to. Parents being a little bit overbearing and not trying to understand where your kid's coming from when your kid's not doing anything wrong. Like, I get that, but then Trini was drinking alcohol and she's underage, so her plot line was a little bit all over the place to be a thing. Like, she could be just a tomboy who just likes hanging out in the woods and whatnot and come across her friends and getting, because she does yoga, and Zach calls her weird for doing yoga, and she's not weird. She just different ways to relax. And so, like, her plot is nothing weird about her. It's just the movie tried to make it seem like she had an actual issue. In reality, she doesn't. Also, she's tough as nails. She doesn't back down from a fight. So, like, the movie was just trying to find something to do with Trini because they didn't know what to do with her. Like, that's what I felt like with her character, which didn't work for me. But the whole thing of, like, her trying to figure out who she is and question herself, I was like, cool, kids can relate to that. People can relate to that. I'm right there with Trini on that. So that's a thing I like for her, but a dislike that they didn't really fill that out. Kim, she's a cyberbully in a sense. Like, a girl took a picture of herself, sent it to Kim. Kim sent it to her boyfriend. Her boyfriend spread it across the school, and then she got her boyfriend out. But the girl, like, there's nothing about the girl. Like, the girl did something to herself. But then Kim had to face the girl's parents in front of the school that she get put in detention. So, like, Kim, I think her problem was cyberbullying, and she had to trust everybody. I don't, like, her thing is not really impactful to the rest of the group, to be honest. Like, there's no trust issue with that one. I think she just thinks she's a bad person and she's not pure heart, but the Power Rangers supposed to be pure heart. So, like, the Power Rangers all supposed to be pure, and these are all kids who are teenagers who have issues and life problems, so they're not pure. But, like, I guess the story behind the movie is that, like, you don't have to be perfect to be pure. I'm guessing is what they're trying to say. You can be a hero, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm guessing what they're trying to say. And this is a pure origin story movie. Like the team had to learn to work together with each other to become the Power Rangers and trust each other. And they have a whole scene, which I thought was a pretty impactful scene, where they have the campfire and they were like revealing their things that they have issues with and their problems. I thought that was a cool scene to kind of get you more used to the characters of the Power Rangers, get more backstory on them. I thought that was solid. A dislike that I do have, another one I should say, is the camera angles. This movie didn't know where you want to be. Like when it comes to Rita, it'd be horrifying and terrible looking, so they do like all the horror tricks and the quick frames and the quick moves and the speed ups and all that kind of stuff. And then there's certain times they have the Dutch angle, and then they did a slow motion thing, and they did this thing, and then all the other superhero movie tropes you see when it comes to camera angles and tricks, like quick zoom and pan out and then slow motion. Like all that stuff was done in this movie, and to me I was like, did they not know what camera angle they wanted to do? There's one point when the movie changes frames, it looks like a Cloverfield movie, then there's another time the movie goes back like a Marvel movie, and then there's another time, like I said earlier, it looks like a horror movie for Rita. And that wasn't really fleshed out what kind of style they wanted to go with this movie, and it really took you away if you're somebody who's into like camera angles and tricks and how they made stuff work. It really took you out of the movie for me, I should say. I was like, why are slow motion is? Why are quick framing? Why are zooming? Okay. Now, the Power Rangers, one thing is to be cheesy, right? The movie has some moments in here like Rita eating a donut at Krispy Kreme's, and while the little fight's going on in the background, I thought that was interesting. That was little jokes. They have a few comedy jokes here and there, but it's not the best. Well, comedy is subjective, but it's not really the best. CGI-wise, the movie is fine. It was just where they used the trope of a car accident twice. The first time Jason gets into the car accident, you see the car chase from his point of view inside, and then the car accident from his side of view, and it's like CGI'd it. And then they do the same thing with a minivan, or not a minivan, just a van, and they hit by a train. I'm like, how you out racing people in a van? But then until you get hit by a train, it's another car accident thing. I'm like, they did the car accident trope twice. Matter of fact, they did it 3 times because Jason has to save his dad, who gets flipped into a car accident as well. So I'm not sure this movie hits on car accidents multiple times, but that trope was used multiple times in this movie. And I guess we begin the movie because the car accident would put Jason in a situation. He saves his dad out of the car accident, like pretty much pull his dad the same way that Jason was stuck in the movie. He saves his dad the same way. And I guess that's why they did it at the end, but he had a car accident scene 3 times in this movie, and then they did the whole Spider-Man movie trope where I wake up and I have abs. Oh my gosh. And I was like, don't do the trope, don't do the trope, don't do the trope, and you did the trope. Pretty much everything about this movie is not original. It's the same thing. I understand it's a remake, but they didn't add anything new to the remake. It reminds me of the Fantastic Four remake, but it's a better movie than that. But before I get into cast details and all that stuff, I do want to talk about Rita. So Rita in this movie, I guess, could read minds or knows how to figure out stuff. So she shows up at Trini's place and like pretty much breaks down everything like, oh, you haven't been able to transform yet. You're not the Yellow Ranger yet. You can't do this yet. I know you don't know where the crystal's at, but I know one of you do. So she like brings them all, like pretty much invites them to a fight. And they all show up, the Power Rangers all show up after like going separate ways, come back, show up, and take on Rita in their human form because they don't know how to transform yet. They don't know how to turn to the Rangers yet. And Rita kicks their butts, hang them all up, and pretty much gets Billy to spill the beans about where the crystals are. Because Billy figured it out early in the movie, but to figure out where the crystals at, she threatened to kill Zach, and Billy's like, he's pure heart, he's a kind dude, they don't have any animosity in the group here. So he's like, please don't do it. I'll tell you, it's hit a Krispy Kreme. She's like, Krispy Kremes? Okay, cool. Then she kills Billy and let the other Power Rangers go for some reason. Instead of just let him die, she was like, I'll kill him, but you can't kill me. Like, she looked forward to having the challenge. I don't know why, but she lets them go because reasons. So they save Billy. Well, they actually don't. Billy actually dies in the movie. And this is where it took me out because I was like, okay, Billy dies. They all learn that like Billy had pure heart. Billy was the one who cared about us all. He's the one who wants us all be friends. You know, we let a good guy die. And they have this moment where all their hearts are aligned because they all feel guilt for what happened to Billy. And then Zordon about to come back, and he does not. He actually pushed Billy back to life. Because what happens is that the morphing portal opens up, and Zordon's about to walk through, and he doesn't. He pushed Billy through, and then to me, I was like, so is Billy dead? Like, they use the same trope where like the death brings the crew together. We gotta do it for Little Saint. If you all watch You Got Served, Little Saint, they do it for Little Saint. The death brings everybody together, but the death in this movie brings back Billy without any like how. There's no how to it. Like, is Zordon dead, or he's on the other side of like death in reality? He's like in purgatory and just kind of like waiting. Like, I don't understand where Zordon's at for Billy to come back to life. And Billy's like, I met my dad, but here I am, ready to go. And you're like, okay. So if Rita could read the Power Rangers' mind and understand that, like, hey, this is where stuff is at, and you told me this and this and this. And she knows the crystal's at, and Billy's death awakens the Power Rangers, and they all can morph together now and fight Rita. Rita finds a crystal, but then at one point in the movie, she throws the Power Rangers into the crystal. I guess she's thinking it's gonna burn them alive, but it doesn't. It makes the Megazord, and I was like, wouldn't Rita know that if she was able to figure out they didn't know who the Power Rangers, or they couldn't form into the Power Rangers yet? She was able to tell that all of them was lying except for one. She could know all that stuff, but yet she couldn't figure out that the crystals would change the Megazords into the Zords into the Megazord. She didn't know that? Okay, cool. I didn't buy that. I did not buy that at all. To me, it made no sense. And then she looked shocked when the Megazord showed up, and she's like, "Oh, well, I guess we gotta fight the Megazord." And then she gets into Goldar. Doesn't really do much different. They beat Goldar with a suplex, like Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Suplex City, and then stabs him in the chest. And that's it for Goldar. And then the Power Rangers considered heroes. Tommy, Jason David Frank, and Amy Jo is in the movie as well. And they're like Bravo, like the Pink Ranger and Green Ranger, they're right on. And then the movie thinks that you're going to get a sequel. So they do the whole like Tommy Oliver, a locker blows up, and you're like, oh, the sequel put the show the Green Ranger. Is he a good guy or bad guy? We don't know. Rita gets bit splat into the universe, into the space, and freezes. Pretty much. And it's a callback to the beginning of the movie when Jason slapped one of the bullies who were picking on Billy. And I was like, all right, cool. It's fine. It's okay. I was invested. I did have a good time with this movie. Some of the camera angles didn't work the best, and this movie also played a bunch of licensed music for no reason. Like, they played Power at one point. They play I Can Make Your Hands Clap. They play that song. They play Unstoppable. Like, all these songs you hear in like workout videos, they play these songs in this movie, and I was like, why? And then there's a reference to Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Bumblebee. It's all in this movie too, and I was like, why? But it is what it is. It's alright. Alright, let's go and get into cast details and all that good stuff. So, Power Rangers 2017 is a PG-13 movie, 2004 minutes. It is directed by Dean Israelite. Writers are John Gantis, Matt Sazuma, and Bork Sharpless. The budget for this movie was $1 million. $100 million. Said that wrong. Sorry, $100 million. It grossed worldwide $142 million. So it didn't do that well in the box office. The cast, you have Dacre Montgomery, who played Jason, who's a Red Ranger, who reminded me, I cannot look through this dude. I kept saying Chris Pine. He reminded me of Chris Pine so much. Chris Pine from, like, the blonde hair Chris Pine that was in Wonder Woman, that was in Star Trek. Dacre Montgomery reminded me of Chris Pine so much, and maybe the mannerisms just worked, and Chris Pine used it like a leader character. Daiquiri was the same thing. I thought Jason was fine. Like the star quarterback who I wish he had more of a selfish mentality in this movie to get like, no, I'm the big star. I'm the guy. They say my name left and right. They don't do that. Like he's supposed to be the big star, selfish guy, but then he saves Billy at the beginning of the movie. Like he's not a bully. He's not a bad guy. He's just a guy who decided to pull a prank by putting the bull in the boys' locker room. And to me, and he ran from the cops. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like why would you doing that? Like, and they maybe had like a history because dad gets mad at him, and dad goes like, "You've done this stuff before. When would you understand?" But there's no history of it, no repercussions of like things happen. And then he breaks off the house arrest with Billy, and dad just like watch him underneath the bridge and doesn't like say like you shouldn't be out and about. You should be here. You're under house arrest. There's nothing about that. No more conversations regarding Jason's character in that reality. And Jason learns how to be a leader, but he's already is a leader, and that's the thing. It'd be different if he was the backup quarterback or the lineman who wants to be the captain or something else that wasn't just star running back, but he's a star quarterback. Like the team falls behind him. He's a leader. He knows how to handle tough situations. Maybe they put him in a situation where like he's the backup. He want to be the star quarterback, but he's not that good, and he's all that, and he'll get taken down a peg and make him humble. I understand that storyline's been done before, but this movie storyline altogether has been done before. So they could have a different way to bring Jason's story to light and have him be more like that leader character who was like, we're about a team. We're not about my individual self. Because Zordon in this movie had that it's me. I'm trying to come back, use the power to come back to bring myself back to life. And then he doesn't do it. He pushes Billy through because there'll only be one Red Ranger. And I was like, okay, so Zordon learns the ability to put others first. And he did it with the cube, with the Zeo crystals too. He put others first in that scenario. So I feel like Jason didn't really have that lesson. It was there, but it wasn't fully fleshed out. Naomi Scott, who plays Kimberly, I thought she was fine. Like, her whole storyline, like she was in detention for punching a kid who shared a photo with everybody. The dude rightfully so get punched, and then she gets kicked from the cheerleading squad for no reason. The girls was in the bathroom, stalled together. It didn't make sense to me. But they kicked Kimberly out. So Kimberly is the outsider. She doesn't have any friends, and her friends was Jerk, who it was. So that's why she really was hanging around, and she talked about taking her life because she ruined somebody else's life. But that girl, we don't really talk about like what happened to that girl. Is she still around? That girl do something to herself because cyberbullying. There's no conversation of that. I think actually one of the girls is the girl that Kimberly. I don't know. It doesn't add up. But Kimberly was thinking about life and everything, and Jason kind of sit there and like saves her, and they want to get out Angel City together, but Billy activate the crystals, and that's why they stay. But Kimberly didn't have a family, or have a friend group to really rely on, so that's how she ended up staying with the Power Rangers. Jason, by the way, he's a star captain. I want to add that out there. Star captain, but he's also single. There's no friends around, but his friends leave him. He doesn't have his friends out, but they never come back around, and he doesn't have anybody else. Nobody's wondering where Jason's at. He's a star captain. Where is Jason? Those are questions that people should know. He's the star, like he is that town celebrity. Small town football teams are huge. He is that town celebrity, and nobody's wondering where Jason's at. But anyway, Kimberly makes sense why she hangs out with them because she doesn't have a group anymore. She's by herself. But her story, as far as her being like a cyberbully person, wasn't really fleshed out to make her really bad. She did one awful thing that Jason said that doesn't make you a bad person. R.J. Seiler, who plays Billy, probably the best part of this movie. I love R.J. Seiler in this movie. I think he did a great job bringing this version of Billy to life. I just wish I'm like, is he on the spectrum? And he actually comes out and said, yes, I'm on the spectrum in this movie. I just didn't like the trope of like, he's on the spectrum where he's super smart, and that's why he's super smart, he's on the spectrum. I wish there's a way to say like, I don't know, I can be smart and not be, on the spectrum for that reason. Or have another character be on the spectrum, like who doesn't understand social cues, but Billy's just super smart and just like, I don't like to joke around. I'm more of a serious character. I wish that was more the thing versus I'm on the spectrum, and that's why I'm super smart. Like I feel like that was just an excuse they made for him to be super smart. But the fact that like he's on the spectrum, I do like that. He doesn't understand social cues. I do like that. I thought that was a cool part of Billy that was like, okay, I can deal with that. At the end of the movie, RJ's performance bought me over with that character, and I was like, okay, he sold me on by the end of this movie, like right on. And I thought he did a good job being Billy. I like this Billy, this iteration of Billy in this movie. Ludi Lin, who plays Zach, who's the Black Ranger, besides the whole thing, like, I guess he's supposed to be a badass because his mom is not healed, is sick and diseased, and he's there to protect his mom, but like he'll be hard inner shell, but he never really seemed like that kid who had a hard inner shell. Like he was just like loose and have fun, let's do this, and I'm selfish about myself. Like he had the more I'm selfish about myself mentality that kind of gets flushed out when Billy saves him. He kind of like, no, Billy showed us that he could fight for others, but other than that, he was cool for the character he was supposed to be, but like the backstory for him doesn't really add much. And apparently he went to the same school they were, and he was in detention with them, but like why? He I don't know. Like I like the idea of the character, I just didn't understand the full concept of him. Becky G, who played Trini, once again, she was there as well, and she kind of been off-puttish to everybody to be in the movie. Like she's a loner, she doesn't like to be around group, her family doesn't really understand her. It makes complete sense. I was okay with that, and that she was not as straight, as like conservative, I guess the word to put it, as conservative as her family was. I completely don't get that. I get behind that, and I like that, Becky put that character out there who's like, I'm tough nose, hard nails, I have a hard inner shell, outer shell, do not really mess with me kind of thing. I don't really understand what's going on with my life and what I'm doing, but do not mess with me. I like that. But then her interaction with Kimberly, it was almost like she kept staring Kimberly down. Like her and Kimberly had beef at one point. Like Trini and Kimberly had beef at one point in this movie that the writers didn't flesh out as well. Like there was something there. Like did Trini like Kim? I don't know. Also, Zach liked Trini, which I was cool with that. That was cool. But then Trini liked Zach. The movie doesn't really flesh that out. But then there's a scene where I thought was pretty cool where like there's a training montage. Cool. But with the training montage, there's a bit where like a slice of life moment where Trini and Kim was eating like food and they're like practicing like techniques and they're like fighting over a like French toast on a fork. I thought it was a cool way to show like, hey, we're training, but we're also becoming more friendly with each other, becoming friends. I thought that was cool. I liked the way they showed them interact outside of just the Power Ranger training ground. But there wasn't enough stuff, more impact on Trini to make her like be like, okay, I get exactly where you're coming from. It's just like, hey, my family's jerks. I am who I want to be. Nobody understands me kind of person. But she does become the one who fights, Rita at first. Rita chooses her because she understands she's wavering. She's not fully like with the group. And maybe Rita get the Yellow Ranger to join her. But then the Yellow Ranger, Trini goes and tells her, hey, Rita attacked me going to Shorty City. We need to go and fight her in the morning. But I thought she did fine. Elizabeth Banks as Rita. I was cool with Elizabeth Banks as Rita. I didn't have anything against her as Rita. I thought it was fine. They made Rita the Green Ranger at first, which I was like, okay, sure. We're going with that. And Rita loses her green Zeo stone, and that's on Earth. Fine. Cool with that. Bryan Cranston as Zordon. Fine. They made Zordon like Edie from, I think it's Edie from iRobot, the giant computer screen that face comes out and he moves across the screen. Bill Hader as Alpha. That was Bill Hader? Huh, neat. He was fine. David Denman as Sam Scott. He was cool. He was, what's his name's father. Thought that was alright. That was cool that he was the father. They gave Jason something to, I guess, look up to and kind of keep Jason humble. Like, I don't know. His father was just there. He was also like a fisherman. Kind of one of the reasons why Rita gets uncovered, which I guess I can get behind that versus just a random person, like, finding Rita. But, it's fine. I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about when it comes to cast. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Any other thoughts? I think I already talked about the movie. The licensed music in the movie was just, I feel like, unnecessary, but the movie score itself was fine. The coincidence of the movie were like, so 65 million years ago is when Zordon and Rita was fighting each other and Rita betrayed them. And pretty much what caused them to get covered up was the extinction of the dinosaurs. That's what caused them to pretty much go to sleep for 65 million years. And a comet hits them and they explode, and Zordon pretty much hides underneath in a ship underneath the ground. The crystal gets built on a Krispy Kreme underneath the ground, and Rita's trying to find the crystal to rule the world because she wants gold and power. Why the destruction of Earth? Rita, I didn't really explain why, because the crystal, every planet has crystals on it, but like there's no real reason for the destruction of Earth. But anyway, the extinction of the dinosaur would cause them to pretty much go to sleep for 65 million years. And when Billy finds the Zeo crystals, this also, the same time Billy finds that, Rita's recovered and Rita's discovered, and Rita like comes back and like, all right, cool. But Alpha, who knew this was gonna be happening, been waiting for the Power Rangers, is like, yeah, we got 11 days now because Rita has been risen from the ground. So it's just the same time as the Power Ranger gets discovered, Rita also gets discovered, and she's like, cool, I'm alive, let's go wreak havoc and destroy Angel City, Angel Grove. Why? There's no particular reason. She's just a bad guy. At least give her something. You made her like a horror character at one point, but at least give her something. But that's one thing. Like, it's just an average superhero movie when you have the whole like coincidences happening all at the same time kind of stuff. The team got to work together kind of thing. Nothing really about this movie is really original, and then the camera angles are all used from different movies. You got the freeze frame, the slow motion, the Dutch angle, the quick zoom, the zoom in, the Cloverfield version where it looked like they're real life and moving a certain way. Like all the stuff you see in other movies are all put into this movie as far as camera angles goes. It doesn't really add much to the movie. I think it's just a fine movie at the end of the day. It's okay. Trying to think of anything else. I guess the suits. I remember people complaining about the suits, and I had no issue with it except for this. Their mask. They revealed them faces, so I guess we can see the actors and actresses' face, and they have to be all over the top. But one of the cool things about the Power Rangers that you couldn't see their face, and that the mask, the shield, their mask was covering their face, and they had to be over top dramatic so you can get their emotions. And by you taking off the mask and revealing their face, they don't have to be as over the top and dramatic, but yet they're in battle with their face uncovered. Anyway, that's what it is. It is what it is. I just thought it was a very odd choice to have them put the mask on, to have them take off the mask. Like, okay. That's about it. That's really about it. Is this a Friday night movie? I don't know. I would say more Saturday evening, Sunday with your friends, not really a Friday night movie. And grade time. I'm going to grade the Power Rangers for 2017. I'm going to give this movie a C. It's an average superhero movie. It's a C for me. Origin Tales, nothing new really done with this movie from 2017 when you have a bunch of other superhero movies out and about. It's a C for me. 75%. Let's look at IMDb. IMDb gives this movie a 5.9 out of 10. That's an F in my book. Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a 51%. So IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes on the same page as far as the critic goes, 51%. And the audience gives it a 65%, which is a D in their book. Let's see what this critic consensus is from Rotten Tomatoes. Power Ranger has neither the campy fun of the TV predecessor nor the blockbuster action of its cinematic superhero competitors. Sadly, never quite manages to shift into turbo, for some good old-fashioned morphin' time. Yeah, that's one thing I will say about this movie. I figured watching this movie that we wasn't get the Power Rangers until like the last 20, 30 minutes of the movie, and that's pretty much what it was. We didn't get the Power Rangers the last like 35, 40 minutes of the movie. The movie's 2 hours and 5 minutes long, and we really didn't get, you had to sit through an hour and 20 or an hour and 30 of the movie before you get the Power Rangers to reveal themselves. And I saw that coming. I did like the fact that heroes did try to fight Rita in their normal everyday outfit, like their normal fit. And another thing that bothered me with this movie, now I think about it, it was like they didn't believe Zordon when they said Rita was real. Like, oh, Rita's not gonna come destroy the world. But like, bro, y'all have crystals that give y'all the ability to jump and muscle change your body type and make you super strong. And you saw this robot alien in front of you and this guy on a screen, and you're saying you don't believe that Rita could come back to life at the same time? Like, I guess coincidence makes sense, but you didn't believe him? And then they get like, Rita's real. She's legit here. What do you mean you didn't believe him? Like, freaking aliens. I don't know, at one point, I was like, what do you mean you didn't believe Zordon? That threw me through a loop a few times. I was like, okay. And then Billy coming back really threw me through a loop as well, because they didn't explain how. Like, Zordon is dead and he just pushed Billy through, like, hey, Billy, go back, you're good. And that's another thing that didn't make sense to me. But this movie gets a C for me. It's a average superhero movie that does a little too much with camera angles, try to flesh out everybody's story but doesn't flesh it out well enough. It's in the action is okay with licensed music back it up, because they felt like the action from the original score wasn't gonna do much for it. So they did the action with licensed music. It's fine. CGI as well. Like, it's 2017. It's fine. It's fine. It's a very average superhero movie, and for that, it gets a C for me, 75%. If you've seen the Power Rangers movie, what did you think? Please put it in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys next episode of Movie Breakdowns. Keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.